Next witness is Jessica Vaughan. She's the Director of Policy Studies at the Center for Immigration Studies. Ms. Vaughan is a former State Department consular officer. Has extensive experience with visas, immigration benefits, and immigration law enforcement. She holds a bachelor's degree in international studies from Washington College, a master's degree in government from Georgetown University. And again, the whole statement will be placed in the record, but please go ahead, Ms. Vaughan.
Thank you all very much for the opportunity to be here today to discuss this bill. And just for the record, I'm a former Vermonter also, another one on the panel.
Whereabouts?
Randolph.
Randolph, that's very, very pretty. Not that far from Montpelier where I was born. Thank you.
No, thank you. First off, I want to say that I fully understand the goal of this legislation and the difficulties that some aspects of current law present, particularly for same-sex couples. But looking at this from the perspective of the administration of the law, and as somebody who has adjudicated some of these cases, and after discussing it with others who know the current process very well, I do see a number of problems with the bill. It's addressing the issue from the wrong direction, I believe, and as a result would create major new problems for officials who adjudicate immigration benefits applications and for the many individuals who are involved in those applications. Immigration law specifies exactly which types of relationships can qualify for visas, green cards, and other benefits, and in most cases they do refer to marriage or employment or another close family tie that can be established through official documentation that's verifiable. And right now, federal law defines marriage as between man and a woman, and immigration law and all other areas of federal law are subject to that definition. If the goal is to give same-sex long-term partners equal access to immigration benefits, then the target really should be the Defense of Marriage Act, not the Immigration and Nationality Act. If that law were changed, then this bill wouldn't be necessary, and the change would apply to all other areas of federal law, whether it's Social Security benefits or veterans benefits or what have you. I don't see a good reason to single out immigration law for that kind of a change. And then also from a practical standpoint, this bill is really just unworkable and would create havoc in our legal immigration system. First of all, there's the problem of official documentation. In most places, there is no mechanism to recognize or document permanent partnerships. And our whole immigration system is dependent on documents that can be verified. Eligibility is established by presenting documents that prove that the sponsor and applicant have a qualifying relationship, whether it's marriage, parent-child, employer-employee, or sibling. And adjudicators review these documents to determine the eligibility of the people before them. For marriage-based applications, that's a marriage certificate. There is no investigation at that point, at the point of reviewing the petition. That may happen later if they're applying overseas, but usually it doesn't occur because about half of applications occur from within the United States, so usually there is no interview. It's already hard enough with all the different kinds of marriage certificates here and the prevalence of fraudulent documents in so many countries overseas to verify even the legitimate marriages. So what happens when consular officers and USCIS adjudicators have to try to evaluate a permanent partnership, which is a relationship that doesn't officially exist in most places? I found about 10 states plus the District of Columbia that allow same-sex marriage or civil unions or domestic partnerships, and I could only, those presumably would be able to provide some kind of documentation, but I only found about 21 foreign countries that have these kind of partnerships, mostly in Europe, 21 that I could find.
And Israel and South Africa.
Israel recognizes other countries.
Yeah.
It does not have it itself.
South Africa.
Apparently,
too.
according to the sources I saw, South Africa, yes. Most of them are in Europe, but people from these countries only make up about 6% of legal immigration to the United States. So that there's really a very small number of people who would be able to provide some kind of official documentation of their partnership. And I do think it's unreasonable to try to expect consular officers or USCIS adjudicators to try to do additional investigations to verify the authenticity of most of the rest of the other applications they would be getting under this legislation. It just isn't feasible with the resources that they have today. And so this bill, by creating a relationship that is difficult to document, is going to introduce new opportunities for fraud in a program that's already a magnet for misrepresentation and abuse of the system. And it's important to remember that this is going to create, it is going to help a lot of people. It has the potential to help a lot of people, but it will also create thousands of new victims of marriage fraud as well. Marriage is by far the most common route for foreign nationals now. I counted that last year more than 400,000 people obtained green cards as a result of marriage to either a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident or someone else who qualified for a green card. And that's about 40% of total legal immigration to the United States. So it's a lot of people who come in through this route. And while most of these marriages are legitimate, still marriage fraud is one of the most common ways for otherwise unqualified people, many of whom are illegal aliens, to obtain green cards. We published a report last year on marriage fraud and documented all the different types of it, whether it's mail order brides or cash for vows or exploitative relationships or what we call heartbreakers. And all of these methods are sure to be used in the context of permanent partnerships.
Ms. Vaughan, I will put your full statement in the record, and I want the others to have time. I have to be at another thing. I know Senator Sessions will have questions. Senator Specter will. I'll turn the gavel over to either Senator Specter or Senator Schumer if he comes. And I do apologize. You make a very good point on the question of fraud, but we, as Mr. Nugent pointed out, we're trying to put the same law in. I don't want to put extra work on overworked consular officers, but we all have to work hard.